Yeah, yeah. What they say? I'm so divine, I'm so divine. Imperfection, perfection, my presence shine. My mental is parasailing maritime. They say I'm destined to read the palm line. Yeah, I'm so divine, I'm so divine. Imperfection, perfection, my presence shine. My mental is parasailing maritime. They say I'm destined to read the palm line. Yeah, I'm so divine.
Welcome to the H.G.R.G podcast. We back with another one. DT, just Jerry. What's going on, fellas?
Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. How's everybody doing today? What's good? What's good? What's
Wagwan,
good? What's good?
Wagwan. Happy Wednesday.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yo, DT, you still with us?
Until tomorrow.
Until tomorrow.
We'll see what happens tomorrow. I don't know, man. It's free agency right now. NFL, they call me to get the right number. I'm gone. Let them tell me 1, 2, 3, 10 million. 1, 2, 3, 10. Be out of here.
Listen, there's some teams that need you, baby. You know, some teams
I'm an amazing sideline analysis.
Yeah, listen, Stephen A. Smith just signed for $100 million. Just give me one, and I have a down. I'll come on the show, Stephen A. Talk to me. You know, you want to debate with me? You know, I'll let you always win. There's no problem.
What's the irony that happens and then the day of or the day after LeBron James press him? What's the irony in that?
Yeah, press him. He Will Smith him.
Right.
He almost finished the Will Smith. You know what I'm saying? But he gave him a half Will Smith. You know? I'm just saying.
You still don't know about real estate? You don't know whether to jump in. You don't know if you ain't got the right mindset. You don't know if it's the right time. H.G.R.G got you. We just dropped the ebook. Go check it out. It's in the description below.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother podcast right there, bro.
But yeah, listen, on a serious note, fellas, listen, we're going to talk about pending home sales seeing record cancellation rates. Okay, I know a lot of people are saying, what does that mean? We're going to kind of break it down for you. I'm going to read an article here, and then also we'll give you our take on it. Okay, you fellas ready?
Yes, sir.
So here we have pending home sales see record cancellation rates as more people turn to rentals. According to a new Redfin analyst, there are 41,000 home purchase agreement cancellations in January 2025, which was a rise of the 13.4% from the previous year, bringing it to a level not seen since 2017. DT, give us your thoughts on that. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear something like that?
First thing that comes to mind is the natural human being, the fear in the market. The election didn't go the way that they planned it to go. All the fear of tariffs here and war there and inflation here. Naturally, people I think kind of say, you know what, let me just take my little savings account and stay where I'm at and play it safe. Plus, any property that most of the properties that are out there right now, they're super high prices still. They haven't gone down. The person 2-3 years ago that was saying, I'm going to wait until the prices go down.
Yeah.
Now those people got to buy, and they're buying at the ultra high. So they're, still suffering from that initial decision. But yeah, that to me, that's my 2-second reaction. A lot of fear. Obviously stuff is a lot more expensive now. And the time of year too, like you'll start to see in the colder climates, the East Coast, in the northern part of the U.S., colder climates that'll be influenced directly from the temperature change coming around the spring now. So a lot of those variations fall into factor. Plus, if you think about like the California wildfires, the storming, and just a lot of things that kind of took place in the last month of the year, beginning of this year, that I think all directly affected the reality of these numbers.
Yeah, I agree with that statement. I agree. I also say mortgage rates are getting as high as it's been in a long time. They go through the whole process and find out the mortgage rates are real high, and they're like, how can I back out from it? It's and it's not go anywhere right now. Interest rates are high still. They're lowering, but they're not lowering as fast as you think it was going to. And then unaffordable prices, unaffordable property prices.
Yeah.
They are high, so they're backing out, saying, "Hey, I thought this was a good deal. I found a better deal," and
Right.
they're walking away from that. So there's a lot of variables to these cancellations.
Yeah,
Oh,
I agree.
I,
And I
I
think
think I
also
think I'm gonna
too, to
be.
pigtail off of that. Hold on one second. I'm sorry, Les.
Yeah, of course, no. Go ahead.
To pigtail off of that, I think as well, because it happens all the time. I hear these stories all the time where and this is predominantly for primary resident people with mortgages. I'm not really speaking on the investor side of things right now, more so the primary. I hear this all the time, right? Either a person or a couple that are going to purchase a property, they start out with a budget. Their budget will be, 350K. And then they'll go look at this market and see what they can get for 350K. And they're like, that's it. It's terrible.
Yeah,
Like they're not happy.
yeah,
Like I thought I was gonna get, 3,500 square feet with, a 3-car garage, and then what? 350. I'm getting a 1-car garage and a 1,400 square foot ranch. You know what I'm saying? So then they increase their budget, right? They get their mortgage they get their mortgage broker to turn over a rock over here and flip this stone over there and find a little bit more income to now substantiate their buying power, right? So now they get up to that 450 or that 400, and now they go and say, you know what? I'm going to buy the nicest house in the worst area, but it has the footage, the square footage that I want, right? And then they go during the day and they're seeing that the neighborhood ain't what they thought it would be, right? Well, then they start finding out what the repair cost would be. Then they find out that the bank isn't going to finance that property because it doesn't appraise, and they got to pay whatever the difference is between the appraisal. So it's like, oh nah, I can't do it, because they're
I'm
already at the
good.
tip.
I'm good.
I hear this all the time, all the time.
Right. Right. So I kind of want to piggyback off of that because you guys covered so much when it comes to, just the, the interest rates and mortgages and, stuff like that. I was thinking about, the little percentage that walks into a house, because of their buying power, and they go, man, 1,500 square feet, they sign it, they're ready to go, and then they get cold feet and they go, listen, hold on, wait a second. Our apartment is 950 square feet. We're gonna pay all this money for 650 more square feet. It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. We're going to be paying a higher mortgage than what we do for rent. And we're getting 650 square feet. How did someone make it make sense? We're not gonna do it. And this is after like that it's a very short honeymoon stage, but that honeymoon stage of seeing the house and maybe the neighborhood and go, we can make it work. Not that you fell in love with it, but we can make it work, right? And when you sit down and you have dinner and cooler heads prevail, you start going, listen, I just walked into my apartment. I'm paying for one more room, 3 more steps. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense. The math starts not mathing. Like listen, we might as well hunker down and pay less here, keep saving, and hope and pray for the market, to get right. So I can't see, and it might be a small percentage, right? That do that, but I can't imagine there aren't people that back out after going through with the formalities of getting the house and then go, nah, I'm good. Even if they lose the deposit, because if you lose the deposit, it's a lot better than losing your ass, in a deal that you don't want, 1,500 square feet. It just, it doesn't make sense when you sit down and you actually think about it, if you're not buying emotionally and you're buying logically, right? So because all it takes is for you to have, if it's you and your partner, all it takes for you to have a kid, and that square footage is ate up.
Right.
Yeah.
It's done.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden now, if you have a second kid, now you're over here like, look, I'm stuck in this mortgage that costs a lot, and now if we have a second kid, we ain't got space. Oh, you outgrew the house before you knew it. So it is, it's tough in this environment, and I get it. And we're speaking from a primary home buyer. because that's what this article comes from, not from an investor. So I know a lot of investors watch this program. If you invest, buy, because rents keep going up, right? So I want to be very clear here.
I was going to add to that because you just
Yeah,
said that. The article is saying they're leaving to go rent. If you're an investor, this is where you win at.
right,
This is where
right.
you win at.
But do
The other
you
side of
win
that.
though? Do you really win?
Uh,
Well,
is your
tell me why you wouldn't, DT,
yeah, I'm
because
about to say in the investor way, absolutely.
they're gonna
I
pull
would
rent.
imagine
Oh,
yes.
and that question, do you really win, is two-sided, right? There's a double entendre there. Do you win as the renter? Question mark. And then also, do you win as the owner, the landlord? Question mark.
As a renter, it sucks, right? Because you want a home.
Right.
And now you're back in the market looking for a rental, right?
Right.
But you win in a way as far as not being stuck, maybe in a mortgage that in a property that you don't really love and don't really want like that. So you may win on that side. It's saving you some money, but once again, you're not a homeowner, and that's a dream for a lot of people. So you miss that part, right?
And I'm sure there's an argument for both
The
sides.
landlord,
Correct.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But the landlord side, there's two sides to that, but that is the renter that you want
I don't.
because they're very stable,
I don't want that renter.
right?
That's not my ideal.
Because they're leaving soon.
Right.
That's right.
And then typically those are the renters that are
Yeah.
going to move in the house and treat you like you're their servant, right? You're going to walk in the house. Oh, the house doesn't heat up fast enough. I put it on 74 10 minutes ago and it still reads 68. It's taking too long to heat up.
Right.
My driveway doesn't get shoveled on time. I leave for work at 7:00 in the morning, and I need my driveway to be shoveled before I leave work. The entitlement, respectfully, that comes with somebody who just came from a homeowner, a house that they own, right? That you would think that they, maintained and all that good stuff. Now they automatically come to a renter position, and they think they're like the entitlement that what they think comes along with that. With every owner, every owner is not the same. Your responsibilities for single families are not the same as they are for multifamilies. Right?
Because I get what you're saying. Not to cut you off really quick, but I need to cut you off because some of those people have owned homes already, and now have backed out of the deals.
Those are the ones that I'm referring to.
Right. Because they're like, listen, this is not, I'm going to wait this out instead of buying a new home. So I definitely get that. I definitely get it.
I understand that argument as well. But somebody has to live somewhere. And if they're not buying, they're renting.
Yep.
And if you're owning, and if you're an investor, I'll take that for a couple years.
Yeah, it's a win-win. I mean,
and have a property manager deal with it. I'm sorry.
You
I'm sorry.
It's a simple fact. Is the number one thing that's about to happen. You're getting paid as a landlord because they are stable. They got their stuff in order. It's just that they haven't found the right time to strike for their own property.
It's also sorry to cut you off, Lance. It's also the job market as well. A lot of people are downsizing, people losing their jobs. So you might be into a contract and lost your job and like, no, I don't want it. Forget it.
That's all I know.
So there's a lot of things that fact. That's why I said a lot of things. Where would you say it's hitting home for people? What states? Do you know?
I would say wherever there's
like I cheated a little bit. I looked it up a little bit before we got on.
Well, then before you start cheating, let me give an honest answer without any help from Google or any.
I have 1, 2, 3. I have 5. I have 5.
All right. I'm gonna say it's gonna be directly affected. I'm a piggyback off of what Jerry just said about people losing their jobs, specifically like government workers that have been affected by the political, parties firing and doing what they're doing there, which is not funny, but I'm gonna say that's a direct effect.
What's going on, world? It's the one and only Lance, 1/3 of H.G.R.G. You ain't got your membership yet? Go get you that. We hold your hand from A to Z. Our team is your team. I'm talking realtors. I'm talking financing. I'm talking property management. I'm talking about walkthroughs for your property, giving you the breakdowns, what the rents look like, how much it's going to cost, fixes, everything. We give you everything. Why don't you have yours? Go check us out right now at HGRG.club and get your membership now.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna say people like in California where the fires are, whatever effect that had on the workforce out there, even though those houses were multi-million-dollar houses, I'm sure that there's a workforce that was affected by a whole town, the whole community was affected by that. I mean, it's gonna bring in construction jobs, but right now it's kind of like on a pause. I would say that, and then obviously also the workforce that has been sent back to where the immigration laws, right? And those families that, if my boyfriend or girlfriend is from Guatemala and me and her are partners and we're gonna go half on this house, and then all of a sudden ICE picks her up and she's gone. Now it's all by myself. I gotta back up out, you know what I'm saying? It takes away from the household income. Those would be my guesses. So state-wise, I'm gonna go with New York.
But give me one state. Give me two states.
I'm gonna go with New York, and I'm gonna go with
not five.
Florida.
Yep. I could agree with Florida. I also
Florida is one.
I also know the list, so
New York.
You got the list.
New York is not one.
New York. Oh, New York is not one. I had.
So then I'll say Texas.
It's not top 5. Doesn't mean it's not like top 10 or top 10, but it's not top 5.
So then I'll say Texas.
Texas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me keep going. Virginia.
No.
Atlanta.
What about Alabama?
Georgia, yeah.
You said where?
Alabama. I'm gonna say all the states that are like borderlining the Mexicos. The Florida.
How about
Texas,
how about there's one more here? How about this? There's one more here. It's West Coast. Let's go there.
Arizona?
No, but close.
New Mexico?
Where everybody goes and hang up. If it happens there, it stays there.
Vegas?
That's right. It's crazy, right? I didn't think that either. So why so many house cancellations? I don't know. Exactly why those. Georgia, Florida, Nevada, Texas. Not sure why those states feel it the most, but they are feeling it the most right now.
Sounds like a lot of states that the immigration has affected heavily.
Right? Yeah,
heavy.
Florida, Texas for sure. Because
you hit it right over the head. Pause. You hit it right there when you said immigration and all that stuff is affecting people. These are high immigration laws.
And those in those states, and I don't want to be stereotypical or whatever, so please don't come for me.
No, you are being. No, you are.
That's cool. That's cool.
You are being.
That's cool.
In those states, I remember I saw some videos where a lot of the migrant workers that are supposed, were picked up by ICE. They were in contracting, doing high end projects. They had this guy. He had on a social media page. He was in the middle of doing like this 400 square building roof or whatever, and his whole staff got picked up, and he has to honor that. He has to honor that job. So he's now got to subcontract it out. The subcontractor charge him more than he's making on the job, so he's paying for that job to be finished just to save his name.
I would have told. I said, listen, do me a favor.
Yeah. So I dug in a little deeper. Pause.
Good.
California is definitely on that list.
Okay.
Nassau, New York, definitely on that list. And Seattle. So that's Cali is a lot on the list. San Francisco, San Jose, Oakland.
Yeah, I would just put California in there as a state, period, as a whole. Just
Yeah, it's I'm just giving towns, and the towns are there, bro.
Yeah,
California it's definitely on that list.
Yeah.
So you was accurate on that as well.
Yeah, that's funny. You don't see the list at all, and you was able to pinpoint it. But the reality is back to what I was saying. Okay, with the rules. Back to what I was saying. If I was the guy, I would have told the guy, listen, do me a favor. Do me a favor. Come back maybe tomorrow. I'll have them here 8 o'clock. Right? But let's finish the day so we can get this done. I'm not trying to
So you're
come
saying you
follow
would have
hot.
negotiated with ICE?
I would have negotiated. I would have negotiated the release. You know? I would have done, listen, we gotta do what I gotta do out here. You know what I'm saying? You're not sticking me with that rule. You're not doing that. That's some bullshit.
I need these roofs done.
Excuse me, sir. I'll keep it real with you. I applied with have my whole crew on the run. You know what I'm saying? They're just hopping from roof to roof. We're gonna keep working and stay on the run. Don't worry, I got you guys. That's how they did it. Period.
Um, eh, eh,
Or I would have negotiated my three worst workers. I would have turned them in maybe, give them a little, and leave me alone and give me some, come on,
no,
guys, that makes sense.
we don't
That
know.
makes sense.
We don't know.
That makes
Um,
sense.
that makes sense. I know it makes sense. Do you think the interest rate is killing the market as well? Cancellations and stuff like that because the interest rates?
I'm sure it plays a factor, but I don't want to call it the deciding factor because I mean
No, one of the factors because we
it's
we
been
definitely
stagnant.
named a couple.
Yeah, but I guess to play devil's advocate, if I could, the housing sales I have not declined. The market is still
Oh,
on fire. And don't quote me that they haven't declined, period, but the market is still on fire. Housing
Yeah, for
prices
oh
sure.
yeah,
are not
absolutely,
going
absolutely.
down.
Absolutely.
Oh,
So
okay.
Yeah.
I don't think it has as much to do with the interest
Interest
rates
rate.
as the other determining factors or underlining factors. I don't think the interest rate is the biggest thing.
So my buddy's house, because I'm watching people take advantage of this stuff in real time. So my buddy's house is his house is worth 500,000, right now if he was to sell it, right? The house two doors down is now being sold, but the square footage is about 1,200 square feet less. My man's trying to sell it for 459, I believe. I said, come on, man. There's no how we doing this?
Your
This guy's
your
trying to take advantage of this.
your homeboy should be helping him sell his house for that price.
Yeah, it's a
He should
fact.
cut his grass for him. He should make sure the cars are parked in the
Because
driveway
once that
accurately.
sells for 450, he is asking for
Or now
seven.
his
Yeah,
now the house of
he's
his price
going
goes
crazy,
crazy.
right? Absolutely. But my thing is, I'm watching that because that means everybody trying to squeeze anything they can out of this market. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So because at the end of the day, it's still a seller's market. For somebody to think that they could price something, and not just them, I mean the company that they're doing it with as well. To price that at 459
Yeah.
when it should be around 400, to be honest with you, at best.
Yeah, but
That need
if it depends, like a lot of that stuff though, Lance, as you know, because you're in the game, you know what I'm saying? Like depending on the realtor and the strategy in which they're utilizing for the sale of this property, that could be the best thing they do or the worst thing they do. I'm sure that number comes from somewhere in their strategy. I'm
right.
sure there's a
Whether that's what
rhyme to
they're
their
looking
reason,
for or not, right?
right? Because obviously you sell a house by square footage, and you come up with a sale price based off of how much you charge per square foot to be able to
That's
substantiate
correct.
what it is you're selling that house for. Upgrades, style of housing, materials in which you're used are in the houses, the bathrooms, the kitchens, the driveways, the roofing. There's a lot of variables that go along with that. So
Is it on a cul-de-sac? Is it not? Yeah, for
correct,
sure.
correct. School districts, taxes for that parcel. There's so many things come into
Yes,
play
sir.
with that. But if your friend is right next to him, and let's just say that you're right. Let's say that they're over asking 50K, maybe 60K more than they should be just on the asking price, right?
Yeah.
In this market, like we're still dealing with, and this is a whole nother podcast, but we're still dealing with the trickle effect of the realtors that started during COVID that are still hanging on by a thread, that still have really not known how to get by, but they just kind of get lucky because they're in the right rooms and they're rubbing the right elbows. So they don't really have great strategies, and they don't really have the wherewithal to understand, read the room type thing. You know what I'm saying? They're just like, oh, the market's so hot. The
Yeah.
market's so hot. You know, there's a comp down the street that sold for 525 and yours is 1,200 square foot less. So I'm just going to try to throw it out there for, 450, 460, because somebody's not going to believe that they could buy something in that same area for almost 100K less. Well, when they realize it's 1,200 square foot less, change things. So it just sometimes depends on the marketing of the realtor and all that good stuff as well.
And my thing is, I got to see the house, and and it needs some work. It doesn't wow you when it goes in or anything like that. And I'm just like, man, I would love to know. It's funny you say it, because I would love to know the strategy behind that. Sometimes it's even the seller. Like, listen, I'm not taking nothing less than, and you got the realtor going, hey, listen, I don't know, I don't think you can get it for this. But yeah, I'm not taking nothing less, and then they'll try it, and they'll try different strategies to get foot traffic and, get a bidding war or something like that, and do their best to try to get close to that price. And, hoping maybe the seller will take less once they see the contract right in front of them, but, you just never know unless you're in the room, So
everybody has a different way of yeah. So it's weird. I don't know. I wouldn't. I obviously this is all made up scenario because none of us know what the
this is a real scenario.
No, I'm saying as far as what they're thinking and why they're doing it. I'm not saying I'm not saying the details of what you said is fake.
Let me tell you something. The house is real. All right, go ahead. The house is real. The thing is out there.
Yeah.
So it's definitely for sure.
It happened to my neighbor. My neighbor, their property went up for sale, and I couldn't believe the price that they asked for their house. I said, there's no way. But whenever somebody came there, I made sure, we were on our best behavior.
Hi.
We're on our best behavior. No. We don't even go outside. We don't go outside. I don't even open the garage, nothing. Just stay in the house. Stay in the house till they leave.
Oh, this neighborhood is so quiet.
So quiet until I open the door and let my kids outside, my dog outside.
Go put your bike in the garage. Hurry up.
Yeah. And then when I saw the sale price, I was like, hallelujah. Lord, good job.
Right next door, too, kid.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That is hilarious. But listen, guys, make sure you guys stay in tune with us. We dropping stuff on YouTube every Wednesday. Make sure you guys lock in H.G.R.G.club if you want your free consultation. You actually get to speak to all three of us. It's dope what we do. We bring people from A to Z. Got a lot of success stories. Got people still working through their stuff now, and we're going to continue to keep doing that. H.G.R.G._club on all social media. Make sure you follow, like, subscribe. It's free. It's free. Everything we do here is free for you guys. DT, just Jerry, anything else to say to people when we let them go?
There's always going to be a excuse for you to not to buy. And if you're an investor, buy, and buy. The right time is right now.
I didn't tell you leave these people smoke, Jerry. Just Jerry. Wow. I didn't tell you fire out when they were leaving. Wow.
It was just a little spice. I'm just throwing a little song on it.
DT, got any spice for the people?
You can't really do much more than Jerry just did right there. That was a little song for the people.
You know what I'm saying? Listen, guys,
he did the salt, baby.
We'll see you on the next one.
Salute.
What they say? I'm so divine. I'm so divine. Imperfection, perfection, my presence shines. My mental is parasailing maritime. They say I'm destined to read the palm line. Yeah, I'm so divine. I'm so divine. Imperfection, perfection, my presence shines.